listen, you need money to do the things that you want. Money gives us choices, right? But sometimes a lot of us don't know how to manage it right, don't know how to create profit for our businesses or even get out of debt, right? And so today in this episode, if you are in a place right now where you're like, my financial literacy, my money mindset, my money situation needs to be checked in, then you're in the right place. We're going to get started. Welcome to another episode of the Visualize and Create Video podcast. My name is Martine Cadet. If this is your first time meeting me, I am passionate about making sure that every single one of us around the globe get to create whatever it is that we visualize. And I spend a lot of time curating amazing experts to come on and talk to you and share with you strategic actions that you need to take in regards to whatever it is that you want to create, right? And so today we're talking about your finances. We're talking about how are you going to make it better. And so make sure you stay towards the end because my guest is going to share with you how you can get in touch with him and all the goodies that he has put together for you. And so today's guest is Brendan. Brendan, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and help your audience visualize where they want to be in 5, 10, 20 years from now.
Wonderful. Excellent. I'm excited to go through and listen. If you're watching this and you are at a place where you can take notes, definitely pull your notepad and your pen and take notes. If you're listening on the treadmill, walking your dog or whatever it is, remember to save this and be able to listen to it again because we are going to be talking about your money. And so I would love to start the conversation with you, Brendan, in regards to starting a business. The reason why I want to start with that is because I know I'm a product of the effect of the pandemic. And I know that many listening, unfortunately, probably went through what I went through, where I received a call saying that I no longer was employed and had that six-figure corporate America job that I had for almost 2 decades, right? And so regardless of the situation, many people are finding themselves exploring starting their own businesses. And the one drawback that I hear a lot, and I know I had this, was either I don't have time to do it, but the second reason that they say no, objection that is, I don't have the money. What would you say to someone that's looking to start their own business today?
Well, I will tell you, it is really hard. Sometimes we'll look at Instagram and we'll say, oh, look, that looks awesome. I want to be just like that. And they don't realize it's kind of like that iceberg analogy. We don't realize all the stuff that required that person to get where they wanted to go, right? From a business, right? When you were employed by your employer, they already had a business set up and you were part of a cog in the system, right? Pretty much. Whenever you create your own business, you are effectively in control of everything, which also means you're in control of everything, which is a lot of work and a lot of stress. And you may not have that steady paycheck like you did previously, and so we think that it's going to be great on the other side, and it's really figuring out who you are, right? Visualizing and figuring out, hey, am I an entrepreneur, business owner? Do I have what it takes? And getting around the right people to help you. That's what helped us, right? Because it is not always easy.
It's not. It definitely isn't. In fact, this is a great segue, Brendan, to share with the audience. Obviously you are able to speak confidently about this because you've been through it. Kind of walk us through what was it like for you when, I know we talked about this before we came on, having a business and that journey.
So we started ours after 2008, right? We started with the idea of a coffee shop business, and we really wanted to make a difference. And so we started learning, understanding that industry, and launched it. Started in 2008 to write the business plan. Not the best time to start any business at that point, if you remember history. But we started in 2011. Lots of people said, you can't do it, right? It's impossible, which I think most of the time you need some degree as a business owner and entrepreneur of naivety to be able to say, well, I can do it. It's going to happen. And but then you have to have some people around you that can help you navigate. And I think there's a lot of people. There's what I call the entrepreneurs and the true entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are the ones that have the idea, but they never actually do anything with it. And you'll see them at networking events where they still have the same idea, but they haven't done anything, right? The entrepreneur is somebody who is starting to do it and they failed forward. They have had mistakes, and I've had plenty. And my advice, and I tell every entrepreneur, every business owner, is three things: know that you know that you know that you're called to it, because it's going to be hard. There's going to be times that you want to quit. It will test you every which way, right? So know that you know, have a team around you, people that care about you, not just your financial advisors and accountants, those are important, but have that team of people that you can reach to. Because when I was starting my business, we had some marriage problems too, because of other things that happened, and I needed to call somebody just on that, right? And then the third is know your numbers. Too many people in business, they're like, yeah, well, I'm not good at numbers. I'll just, we'll deal with that later. I'm like, no. So those three things, I tell every business owner, get those three things down, and that will help you maybe not succeed. You might fail. I mean, that's the reality, but your success will increase a lot more if you've learned those three things.
So powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to go back to that last point, know your numbers, because there's one thing that I feel like a lot of people, I know, again, this happened to me and from conversation with others, are not understanding how to really manage their daily when they are, in fact, in the trenches of building their business and they're self-employed, right?
Yeah.
So knowing those numbers and making sure that as a self-employed individuals, understanding your financial journey is something that you believe, Brendan, is important.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I think when you're employed, you have a regular check coming in all the time, right? When you're self-employed, it's ups and downs, right? And so you have to understand the numbers. And that's why I love Profit First. The system is helping me figure out how best to put certain things, taxes. Like it's be surprised how many business owners forget that they owe taxes. And I'm like, really? How did you forget that? So it puts them in different buckets, right? So instead of having one giant plate, we are making them smaller, right? So OPEX is 30%, owner's pay is 50%. 15% goes to taxes. And I love the profit account because most people are like, yeah, well, I don't need a profit. I want a profit in the market, but I don't want that. And you feel kind of slimy, I guess, taking a profit. But as a business owner, you deserve the rewards of your efforts. That's all of that stuff. And I think that's what profit is. So building that system early, not just waiting until I'll figure it out later. That's important. So that's why I say know your numbers, so you can make smart moves of, do I need to use and invest? I will say invest in certain things in your business to help it grow, or do I need to cut expenses on some of that, right? Both and then I also see business owners. There's two types. There's the one that thinks they're still making a lot of money and they're spending like they're making a lot, and they're posting pictures on Instagram using credit cards, right? And then there's the other ones who don't pay themselves at all, and they say, I'll eventually pay myself. Well, visualizing, and what I think about even this episode, right? Visualize, reverse engineer your business, work backwards, because even if we're building a business, I want to think about a business valuation. Like if I were to sell the business in 5 years, what is somebody going to get? All of that stuff. And you start reverse architecting everything.
I love that mindset. If I were to sell my business, what is this person going to get? This is great.
Yeah.
It puts you in a creative space that really is going to challenge you to take inventory of what's happening, for sure. Love
And
that.
that happened to us when we had the coffee shop. I was thinking of expanding it, and met with my um, tax guy and lawyer, and he asked us. We had taken care of all of the debt. We've done everything right. We followed all the rules. We read the yellow books. Building a business for dummies, all the stuff, right? And he asked, "So how much are you paying yourself?" And we're like, "Well, let's not talk about that." And he's like, "Well, no one will franchise or want that if they don't see there's a bottom line and you're actually paying yourself a fair wage, right? Because our business name was Overflow. But if I couldn't overflow to other people, I couldn't, I can't really help or even build the brand. And so there's a degree of taking care of yourself, especially as an activist. I'm an activist, right? And you're like, oh, it seems bad if I'm doing that. But no, it's actually healthy.
You are listening on your favorite podcast provider, or perhaps watching this show on your big TV screen. Regardless, I'm excited to have you. My name is Martine Cadet, and I am the host of the Visualize and Create show. You will be able to meet amazing individuals that are going to inspire you, motivate you, and give you the tools for you to visualize and create whatever it is that you want. Make sure you check out the show notes and share this with a friend.
And so before we end this episode, Brendan, I definitely want to do two things. I want you to bring up these books that you have back there. By the way, for you watching, you could see them, and for you listening, to stay tuned so you could hear more. And by the way, I do want to say, for you that's still tuned in, congratulations, because if you're still up to this part of this episode, that means to Brendan and I that you are invested. And I'm excited that you're tuned in because, as I said at the start of the conversation, there's going to be information on how you can get in touch with Brendan. And so there are books behind you, and you alluded as we were talking early on in regards to a special method. And so if you don't mind taking the next few minutes, Brendan, to walk us through what is the profit, which is the title of the book that I see back there. And if you want to start with your exclusive method as well, and walk us through and what that.
For sure. The two methods I really think about is profit first. Every business owner needs to read that and understand the profit first methodology. It's a financial system, cash flow management system that you use for your business, right? Cash flow management system, understanding how the cash flows in and out of your business, right? So read Profit First. We are Profit First certified, and think a lot in those lines. And then the other one is Bank on Yourself. We're working on a book ourselves, but this Bank on Yourself concept has really changed our life. It's basically what I've done is I have and then this is where people will definitely tune out, is I have a whole life insurance policy that I'm funding, and I've been funding for years. Even when I didn't have a lot of money in the coffee shop, I used this as my emergency fund. I used it as my future savings because, I mean, to be honest, you when you worked for the employer, they had a 401k match. When you're self-employed, there is no match, right? And so we need to figure out a better system. And I need access to capital. So I used my policy to get through major emergencies, like a flood in the business that didn't happen, or did not want it to happen, and I needed the cash to get through it. I used it to buy a down payment on my house, the down payment on my current residence, and I'm using the same policy. I'm thinking like a bank in this system because every business owner is in the banking industry, whether they think about it or not, right? So I'm using the same policies to buy a commercial real estate building to grow my financial services company now. And it started when I owned a coffee shop, right, years ago. And my goals have changed, right? This is where I think visualizing and thinking about this, our goals will always change, right? We think that they're going to be stagnant, but they're going to change when you have a kid, when anything happens. Like there's all kinds of life things that happen, right? So then that led us into understanding those concepts, led us into this method we call the still method. Now, the still method is a reaction, and some of it came from our understanding of the Bible, right? But the world is in chaos. It's confusing. It's haphazard. It's anxious. It's overwhelming, and it's stressful, right? Can you relate to that? You lose a
Absolutely.
job, all that stuff. And I'm like, that maybe. And there's a guy called Donald Miller. He says, if you confuse, you lose. He wrote a book called Story Brand. I'm like, the tax code, confusing. 401ks, all of that are very confusing. How do we understand and change from that? So
Right.
then it was moving me into, okay, well, every business owner, every person, and this is crazy, they don't even know their goals, where they want to end up in 5 years or 2 years, and they're just like kind of running through life. I'm like, well, you need to reverse engineer your life, right? So the still method, and you can go to stillmethod.com to find it. We're going to write a book about it soon, but it's a methodology that we've used, and it's set your sights. If you don't know where you're going, you're going to not get there, right? We have to know kind of a direction, right? Setting your sights, whether it's, I want to have a staff of 10 or whatever. How do I build? How do I get there? What is my sights? Track your in and out. I don't care what it is, tracking metrics on your podcast downloads to, going to the gym, right? Tracking. Some people will be like, I hate budgeting, whatever. It's just tracking, just being able to understand what's there. And then you want to inspect your progress. Don't just track it, but inspect and say, okay, here's what's happening. Then you look for 1% adjustments. If you look for 1% adjustments, not trying to get to the mountain on the top and say, oh, I want to be like this guy who's already been there. He's already made 1% adjustments along his way, right? You haven't. So what are those 1% adjustments that you can do to get there? And then live deliberately. That is really important. You got to be deliberate in your business, in all the things, the collateral that you build, your messaging, all of that is deliberate. And you do that with your money too. Then the fun thing is, this is never over. It's like a spiritual practice. You don't just say, I did one yoga course and I'm good. You go back, right? And so then you go back over, and that could be about your marriage, your kids, your finances, but understanding that. And as you ask those questions, because we have a whole list of questions that you would ask, your answers may change. The questions may be the same, but the answers may change. And that's the hard part in this financial world. Like, we're going to listen to a Dave Ramsey video or something like that, and then he's going to give you blanket advice. The problem is, we don't know. And most of the time, as a financial professional, I'll tell you, it depends. Does a policy work or not? I don't know. It depends. I want to be able to look and ask you questions, and then you navigate. But we have to slow down, which is really hard in our world. We have to slow down, and we have to reflect, ask those questions. And if you do that, I will bet you, if we did the still method, everybody, the world would change, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, it's kind of interesting. It's not very popular, because that means we have to we have to be self-reflective, and there's no quick fix to this. But what's going to do is build a foundation. And what I think, in the world, we have rocks that are built upside down. Everybody's foundation is rocked right now, right? Like literally, like shaking. And that's the way the world is created, to keep us not there. But we want to build a solid foundation for our business, right? And then you build on that foundation, and you can conquer everything. I mean, that's why pyramids last forever, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
they have a solid foundation. Sometimes, again, and I know we're running long, but the foundation doesn't look like you're making much effort, right? It's that iceberg below we don't understand. We think that we're not making progress, but if you build a solid foundation, all of a sudden the walls go up fast.
Mm.
What the challenge is we're going after results, trying to build quick walls, and we haven't built the foundation. And I think that's why our world is all screwed up, and why businesses fail so fast, right? And then the banks will come and say, oh, well, I can help you. Here's a loan at 20%. I'll help you. And we wonder why we're broke, and why we're all working for a bank, right? And I want people to be set free. I believe in the business owner and entrepreneur. I know how the system works. So that's why I love infinite banking and profit first. And if anybody wants to do a free analysis, just go to our website, right? Go. I'm in the middle of a change on our website, but I'd love to have those conversations with people to help them build their foundations, and then you can build on the foundation even better, right? You can do more as you grow.
Absolutely. Love that. The foundation, you brought me back. I'm from the Caribbean, and I remember when my parents were building our house. And I didn't know the jits of building, right? My dad was not into the architectural world or anything. And I remember seeing the start of seeing just the dirt, the land, to the first thing they had to do, and it took weeks, was to build the foundation of the house.
Yeah, right.
And I was, not even 13 years old at the time. And I remember engaging my parents and saying, what is this part of the house? Like, if we don't get this right, we won't be able to build up. And that was my first introduction to really understanding foundation. And I love that you brought this up and put it into perspective when it comes to our lives. And it's so true. And listen, for you listening and watching, you're here still. That means that something triggered inside of you, right? You either identified with, if not everything that Brendan just shared, or perhaps 1 or 2 points. Regardless, you are still here, which means that it's time for you to take action. In the show notes are all the information that you need to have to get in touch with Brendan. I encourage you, I challenge you to activate that vision that you have so that you could start creating. Like we talked about, actually, Brendan, you brought this up. When most business owners are like, well, I check that later. What about budgeting? It's just a tracking system you shared, right? I'll check that later. No, we're not checking later. Okay. We're taking action today. And, you have the opportunity to really engage with the still method that not a lot of people know. And you are lucky to hear it here. I'm so excited. And so take action today. And I love this so much, Brendan. And I want to thank you again for coming on and sharing all those beautiful nuggets and really empowering us to know that it is possible for us not to get caught up in that system and actually live our lives. Right? Live our lives. And so I truly appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, awesome. Well, and again, I love it that you're helping people visualize. This is the still method, is visualizing. So totally go, guys. Download stillmethod.com. If you love what I share, you'll love my wife even more. She has her channel, or our channel together, and it's Wealth Wisdom FP. If you look up on YouTube, you'll find me, her. We have a podcast ourselves, and look up Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast. Book a call with us. We really want to be advocates, like along your journey, right? Because it's never ending. Well, until you die, I guess. But and that then it'll be ended. But you want to leave a legacy too, right? And so I want to think through, hey, if I'm gone, how am I better off, and how did I serve the people around me? That's the big thing. So anyway, thanks. This was fun.
Awesome. It was fun for sure. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Remember, subscribe, share with a friend. I'm sure that you took on so much today, and you're like, you have someone, at least one person that you know that needs to hear this message. And so share the episode, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
You have just listened or watched the Visualize and Create show. Don't forget to download our app and make sure to leave us a review. And before I go, I do want you to visit my website, martinecadet.com. Browse around. There's a lot of stuff in there. I have a store. I also have great services available for you so that you can visualize and create anything that you want. I will see you in the next episode.